sons of Kuberas, he also gave them a benediction that you will remember this. When you are in the body of tree, you will remember me. Or you will remember what pride or what activities you are doing. Pride is very bad. Pride comes before the fall. So within that tree, they remember. Okay, and that humbled them. So they start realizing that the tree was sitting there for 100 celestial years. It's not like the trees were there before the Krishna appears on these planets. So you see how many years they were suffering. One celestial day is almost 600 earthly days. So you can remember how many thousands of years. So that humbled them because they remember what the activities they have done. Because they did sinful activities. They have ignored. When you are in pride, you start ignoring others. That's one of the quality of pride. Once you have a pride in your heart, you start ignoring others. And that's what exactly these Kubera sons did. They ignored Narad Muni. And then through that curse, but that curse was very good for them because he also gave the benediction, Lord Krishna will appear and he will deliver them. So with the grinding mortar, Krishna crawled in a different direction. But then suddenly he realizes that this is, he has to perform one of the pastimes. He has to carry forward the vow of his devotees, Narad Muni. So he stuck in between, then he pulled the tree down. So the two lessons we learn from here is basically we follow the footsteps of a devotees. Anukarana. Follow the footsteps. Not Anusaran. Anusaran means you just imitate. So you do Anukaran. You follow the footstep. Oh, Anukaran imitator, okay. That's right. So, follow the footstep of the devotees. And the second thing he's teaching us is you bond with me through rope. Means you always be in the association of the devotees. These are the two things he teaches us through these pastimes. Okay? And then through this whole pastimes, in this chapter 10, what Krishna is teaching us 5 things. Okay? So the first thing he is teaching us that you should hear about these pastimes. Because when you hear about these pastimes, then you develop the attachment to Krishna. That's what his instruction. And then the hearing always comes when you have a service attitude towards Vaishnavas. So once you hear, then you absorb the thoughts. Because when Sukadeva Goswami was teaching or just reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj was completely absorbed in that. And he was checking him from time to time that he is absorbed or not, by asking questions. So absorption has to be there, the visualization has to be there. You have to visualize sometime when you read Srimad Bhagavatam, then you can visualize the pastimes of Krishna. As a mother sees the shoes of a child, she remembers. So that's what absorption is very important. Then the second thing important here that Krishna is teaching us is the determination. It's very, very important. So one has to be determined. I used to give example of Raghunath Das Goswami in Vrindavan. He falls like a stick when he do the Dandavat Pranam. So the determination is like a line in the stone. So if you see a marble, it has a line. You think that, this line is on the surface. When you cut the marble, you see the line goes deeper and deeper. So the determination has to be there. So, because that determination can lead to harmony. So basically, harmony is basically whatever the Krishna desire is there, our desire should be like that. So the alignment of the desires with Krishna. So if their desires align, then basically everything is absorbed. Krishna is looking at it's not like how much things you do, it's looking at the intent of that devotion. It doesn't matter, somebody do the big things and some small people do the small things. No, the intent of devotion is very important. Okay, So I will repeat again that story of a squirrel here. In the Ram's pastime, there was a squirrel who was picking a little sand, and then he was putting the sand in between the stones where these big monkeys were putting these big stones, So when she was doing that service, then Lord Hanuman came, and the squirrel came in front of Lord Hanuman, and then Hanuman started thinking that, what you are doing here? I am bringing this mountain to put this bridge. So the Ram stopped him that you cannot do that. No, his service is to put these sands in between the stones so stone doesn't move. So he was saying, instructing through that is basically the intent of devotion is very important rather than the magnitude. Okay, because that bhava has to be there. So that's what the harmony has to be. Sometimes people don't understand the harmony, the desires. So what they should do? That Krishna is teaching us, you do service. When you do the service, then through that service attitude, the harmony comes. Then service has to be done also in a way that you follow the instructions. No argument. Just follow the instruction. So, that service attitude, that he gave example of Lord Hanuman, Ramchandra instructed Lord Hanuman that you give this ring to Sita. But Hanuman was not understanding. He thinks that, what this will do. Then Ram was thinking, why my Lord is crying, while giving this ring. Then Ram was thinking that Hanuman doesn't understand, he is a brahmachari, He doesn't understand my pain. So when Hanuman went there, he gave that ring to Sita, then he realized. So that's when, if a harmony doesn't match, you do the service. Through that service, the humility will come, and through that service, you will then develop the same harmony, the desire, what Krishna desires. The fourth thing he teaches us is the tolerance. One has to be tolerant. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Tolerant like a blade of a glass, humble like a blade of a grass, and should be tolerant like a tree. Okay? So, this Ravana didn't get anything. He was very angry. He didn't get anything. He was so powerful, cutting his head. But Vibhishan, with that humility, he got everything that Ravana didn't get. So you can see that. So these parts are. Then the fifth one is humility. That's what he tells you. Through humility, you can understand the process of devotion. So these 5 things he is teaching us through these sweet pastimes. And then the verse 7, 8, this discuss about his pastimes with the gopis. Okay? So the soul is always eternal and pure. Okay? And then the mind usually reflects the eternal nature of the soul. Okay? So mind reflects the eternal nature of the soul. But through these different life after lifetimes, mind get polluted when we interact with the different elements of this material world. And then it get contaminated. Srila Prabhupada used to say that if you take a glass of water and put a mud in this glass of water, so what happened? You will not see the water is not transparent. But when you filter it, the transparency of the water regained. So similarly, this mind get contaminated, and then through this contamination, you don't see the eternal nature of the soul, which is pure. So the Krishna descend in this world to cleanse that mind through the different process. So when your cleansing will happen, the heart will get purified. And then the eternal nature of the soul is revealed. Otherwise, the mind, the contamination of mind, we don't know the natures. The nature of the living entity change from place and circumstances. So this is very important, how to purify it. So listen to the pastimes of these Krishnas, understanding the pastimes of these Krishnas, and also and then visualize those things. It's very critical. So with the gopis, Srila Prabhupada used to give the example that, when the mother the relationship in this material world, when the baby cries, then mother give her something, So she stop for a while, then again she cry, Then the mother gives, that's something in the mouth, so at least she will be quiet, but after some time again she cries. Okay? Then finally she takes the child into her lap and give her milk. But after that also she is not satisfied, so finally she put the child in her lap and to satisfy her. But what the point he was trying to mention here, that as the relationship goes, so mother love for her child is very selfless. Okay? Similar selfless love for gopis, for Krishna is there. So that's what is compared with the mother. But what happened in this material world, as the child grows, so what happened? The relationship doesn't become that sweet anymore. So the child becomes adults and all those things, the relationship doesn't go that well. Okay, in most of the cases in this material world. So that is the nature of the material world. Even that relation which was so selfless ultimately end up in some miserable situation, and you are seeing this every day. But the love for the gopis, for Krishna is selfless, and that is always eternal. That's what is described here. When the love is that eternal, Krishna is bound by that love, and whatever the instruction gopis is giving, Krishna is just following it. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But he is bound by that love, and he follows that. When Krishna left, when Krishna suddenly appears sometime in the gopis' pastimes, then gopis ask the trees, they ask the flowers, they ask the animals, where is Krishna? They cry for Krishna all the time. So that was their love. Even the Gopas, they used to fight with Krishna, Sri Rama, he tried to put the Krishna from his shoulder down to the earth. Krishna sometimes used to say, I am Supreme Person. Who is Supreme Person of Godhead, I can defeat you. And then the same Krishna, so he get defeated. But the same Krishna, when he went to the Mathura, Vrindavan, he defeated those big wrestlers, Mustika, Chanur. He put them to their feet, killed them. So you see the same Krishna, when it went there, he destroyed them, he killed them. Then the Sri Rama was in the audience, he was asking that, Krishna was saying, I am Supreme Personality, I killed them. See here, you are not Supreme Personality of Godhead. You can go there, I can defeat you. So he fought with Sri Rama, and Sri Rama again defeated him. In the same ground. So this is basically out of love he performed these pastimes. One of the pastimes with the calf is that when Krishna was about to go for a cow herding, then Mother Yashoda told him that you wear the shoes because the forest of Vrindavan, there are a lot of thorns in it, and your skin is so soft, the thorns will go in your skin. And he said that, okay, if I wear the shoes, then all these cows and calves, you should make shoes for them. And the Nand Maharaj has 900,000 cows, so it's not possible. So he said that's not possible. And then you have to also understand that wherever the Krishna appears, everything is conscious. Even the sand is conscious, even the stone is conscious, everything is conscious. So the cows were listening there, so that night they went to the whole forest, and they torn down these stones and thorns into small pieces and make it very flattened, so the land becomes so smooth, so the Krishna can walk on. So that's what the feeling of even these plants, animals, trees, when Krishna is there, they are conscious. They were actively participating in his pastimes. So that's what Sukadeva Goswami is teaching us, that this material world, this Kali Yuga, there are three types of people. That's what Sukadeva Goswami is, that's what Parikshit Maharaj is telling us. There are three types of peoples in this Kali Yuga. Okay? One type of people is basically Nitya Sevak, so basically who hear the pastimes of Krishna, absorbed in the pastime of Krishna 24 hours. When Srila Prabhupada used to give a class on Janmashtami, midnight, Janmashtami is a fasting, and then he said, okay, come on and let's read Krishna book. 12 o'clock midnight, after midnight Aarti. And you see what is the situation of the devotees, fasting for whole days. And he was reciting, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, and just devotees were sleeping. And he is the one who is this. So this is science of the pure devotees. Always absorbed, depending on whatever the circumstances there, he is absorbed 24 hours. Okay? And the second type of devotees that Parikshit Maharaj is asking is basically the sadhakas like us. Okay? So when they come to the temple, everything is so nice, chanting so nice. Okay, we're hearing class, this is time for prasadam. Well, let's go for prasadam because higher taste. So they go for prasadam. But what happens? So these are sadhakas. According to the association, as soon as they go outside of the temple, based on what type of association, whom they associate, they develop those qualities. Okay? Mishrit Bhakti. This is called the Mishrit Bhakti. So he is saying that for these devotees or sadhakas, reading Srimad Bhagavatam is a aushadhi, is a medicine. When you take it, so the medication, slowly and slowly it will cure. So there's a medication for them. So aushadhi. So as we associate somebody, okay, go here, they go. And then the third type of people he is talking about, these Kali Yuga, is basically who don't understand anything. They just involved completely in they like the pastimes, the rasa pastimes, the rasa lila. They like that. So Krishna is also challenging their false ego. Oh, I have thousands of wives, palaces. What you have? Just one. You cannot even handle that. So he's challenging their false ego. Somebody likes politics. Then Krishna said, okay, Mahabharata is full of politics. He's challenging them everywhere. So at some point of time, when they do this, at least there is a chance that they can associate with somebody and follow the path, the upper path for the process of devotion. So he's challenging everybody. So that's what Parikshit Maharaj is telling these things. So then comes here, another pastime here mentioned in the verse 10 is with that fruit salad. Okay? So the way how you approach Krishna, the Krishna will reciprocate. So in one of his pastimes, when Krishna was going to the Mathura, so that the dhobi, that the person who washed clothes, the washerman. So the Acharya says that he did a lot of tapasya to seek darshan for Krishna. So Krishna should appear in front of him. He did a lot of tapasya. But what happened when the Krishna came in front of him? Krishna came in front of him. So that tapasya is done. But what happened then? He didn't understand that. So he asked for those clothes, but he didn't give him the clothes. He said that this belongs to King Kansa. I cannot give you that. So you just go away. So what he did, you know what he did? He pulled his head and killed him on the spot. So Krishna will reciprocate how you approach him. He did tapasya to get the darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he appears that he doesn't understand. Because why? Do you know why? Because his association was with Kansa. So he didn't understand. So that's what the association is very important. Sadhaka always fluctuates. So when you associate with the devotees, you develop good qualities. When associated with non-devotees, you will develop the bad qualities. That's why the association is very important. That's what Krishna is saying that Dam Manna, you just tied with Krishna's yoke to Krishna, to his devotees association. So that's very critical. So one has to understand that. So if you take a pastime of Putana, okay, so Putana came there And then her intention was to kill Krishna. But what Krishna saw in her, the Krishna saw that she wanted to give her milk to Krishna. She just want to feed her, Even like the breasts were with the poison that are capable of killing thousands of people. And Putana was 8 miles tall. It's not, you cannot conceive that. But see, her intention was to kill Krishna. But what I want to say that the pure devotees of Lord, even somebody comes to them to harm them, they always look for good qualities. So Krishna was looking at one good quality in Putana, that she just came here to feed me her milk. He was not thinking that, she's a demon, let me kill her on the spot. So he drank that milk, and what happened later on, he sucked his life here. But Krishna was looking at that quality. So similarly for devotees should be like a honey bee. Always try to find the nectar in others. Okay, no fault finding. Because there is always easy don't like a fly. Fly always, you put, palatable dishes, but a fly always go to the dirt. It's fault finding. Because this fault finding will drag you down. You think that, I'm doing good job, I want to be good in front of the others, but actually you are dragging your consciousness completely down. So should be try to find a good qualities in others, because when you always try to hanker for good qualities, you will ultimately develop those qualities. So there are two words, you always hanker for good qualities. Don't lament for them. Hanker for that. Hankering, what is the difference from hankering and lamenting? Hankering means you hanker for the association for devotees, hanker for good things that develop your consciousness, your devotion. Don't lament. Lamentation is basically if you don't get anything, you start thinking that, why I am not getting it. Sometimes people lament on subtle things. Oh, I went through here, and this devotee is not saying Hare Krishna to me, and we start thinking, why he didn't say Hare Krishna to me. So that's a lamentation for subtle things. So lamentation has to be known. So Krishna was looking at that fine quality within Putana. So our attitude should be always like this. So there should not be there. That's what Krishna is teaching us through his pastimes, that what you should do to attain me. And then we have to read these things, we absorb, visualize, and then how we progress in the path of devotion. Otherwise we will be always in Kama Mishrit and Bhakti, this Jnana Mishrit Bhakti, or mixed devotion service. And that's what Krishna, you will not attain Krishna. Because he is showing us here in these 2 chapters, only through pure devotion you can bind me. Otherwise not possible. But that doesn't mean you should not, but that process should be ultimately lead to that devotion. Should be there. So, this fruit seller pastimes, the fruit seller was an old lady, he crosses usually the Yamuna and comes from Mathura. When you come from Mathura to Yamuna, you have to cross the, Mathura to Vrindavan, you have to cross the Yamuna river. During those days, the Yamuna were flowing, even in the old days, the Yamuna was flowing pretty close to the Krishna Balaram temple. Now it's too far. So she crosses that and used to sell fruit, to get whatever the Lakshmi, she just want to feed her, So she was selling fruit, so she came to the Krishna's palace, okay? And she said, Phal lelo, take fruits. She was like doing this. And so what happened, then Krishna was inside, and nobody was there, so he was inside, and then Krishna has an instruction that time, don't go outside, because there are a lot of demons coming day after day. Okay? So ultimately, Krishna came with a handful of grains in his hand, and then when he was coming outside, the grains were falling down. Ultimately, he reached that fruit seller lady. A few grains were there. Okay. So by looking at the beauty of the Krishna, she was completely absorbed. By looking at the face of Krishna, his beauty, she was completely absorbed. So that's what when the Krishna appears, and what happened? He captured your heart. And when Krishna captured your heart, your all senses are still. They just completely focus on that Krishna. Then you are not, senses doesn't go here and there. You can automatically control your senses. So that means when you perform that devotion service, your all senses, you engage all senses in that process to please Krishna, then the sense, there is no point of sense gratification. Completely absorbed. She was still captivated by the beauty of Krishna. So that's what Krishna steals. When Krishna, how Krishna steals the heart, you have to melt your heart like a butter and make it pure like a white. Then only Krishna can steal the heart. Otherwise, no way. So she was captivated, senses were still, and then basically she started giving all the fruits she had. So when she was returning back, so she was sitting there whole day, looking at the beauty of Krishna. She wanted Krishna to sit her on lap, but Krishna was little hesitant because she was a lower caste, and then at that time there was always a thing that people, there's a separation from the higher caste or lower caste or whatever. So Krishna saw here that nobody is seeing me. He sat in her lap and stand up. So her desire was fulfilled. She wanted Krishna to sit in her lap because the intense love for Krishna was there, captivated with beauty. So Krishna reciprocated. And then she was sitting there whole day. When she was going back home, she started feeling that, the basket she has is little heavy. So the heaviness is because there are gems in that. So do you know what she did with the gems? Anybody remembers? So she thought that what's the value of the gem when I see that beauty? She threw all the gems in the Yamuna. No material desires. That's what Krishna said in the 10th canto, 88th chapter, verse 8, you read that. When he likes his devotee, what he do? He takes away everything. He make him poor, because in that state he will always remember. And that's what exactly Narada Muni did to these sons of Kuberas. They were so wealthy, but he made them so poor, devoid of all these opulences, and make a tree. But a tree doesn't have anything, standing there. Devoid of everything. But what happened after that? The humility comes, the remembrance for Krishna comes, and within the tree they start remembering Krishna and all those things. So what happened? Krishna suddenly appears and delivered them. So that's how Krishna said, he takes everything away, make him poor, so you understand. That doesn't mean that when you are wealthy you don't understand Krishna, but the point he was making that, at that he will take away everything from you. No material desires, just spiritual desires. That's what when you do this service, when you do the service attitude to Krishna, you should not desire for anything. When you come in front of the deities, you just desire that how I can serve the devotees. So Krishna will give you those desires, the spiritual desires, so you can fulfill your service attitude, you can basically serve devotees. That's what the desires will come from the Krishna. And you should be always aware when the pride comes. Sometimes the pride always comes, I'm a senior devotee, I did this. Pride will come. And the pride comes just before the fall. So So that's what you should be aware, every time aware of your surroundings, or aware to come here and just pray for in front of the deities, that whatever the little things I am doing here is because of your mercy. Without that mercy, so you should always pray for that mercy, hanker for that mercy. Because of that opportunity, I am serving you one way or other way. You're serving in the kitchen, you are cleaning the pots, you are worshipping deities, mopping the floor. People, devotees serve in different ways. So in Krishna's eyes, everything is same. So you should be aware. It's not like the attitude should not be like that, I am just doing this service, I am great, this service is not for me. Then that's not devotional service. Whatever the Krishna desires, I will just do that. Otherwise, the false ego kicks in. Once you start separating the services, the false ego comes in. And then that changes the attitude, the mentality towards others. So it's very important. Whatever the service I am doing, that I must do a practical devotional service, not theoretical. Okay? Theoretical means, I am so learned and everything, I know Bhagavad Gita from verse 1 to 750, and then I know verbally and I am great. That's called the Jnana Mishrit Bhakti. So Krishna is saying that will not lead to me. You can get something. Even some karmis also do yajnas and they get the ashtanga yogis and all those things, they perform those austerities, they get those powers. But what Krishna is saying, that you not get that love that Yashoda Mai is getting. So that was the gopis. He is telling about these gopis, they always remember Krishna 24 hours. So when Yashoda Mai was churning the butter, so her mind, body and her words, all these three were engaged in Krishna's, remembering Krishna's. So she was using her body to chant that part, so she was remembering. Through her voice she was singing the pastimes that Krishna was performing, remembering Krishna, how he killed Putana, how he did this, how he did this. So the body, mind, so when everything is churning, this awakens Krishna. So that's how Krishna awakes from his yoga nidras and came to Mother Yashoda. So that's the only thing. So the gopis were completely doing all these three things. No other motives. So that's the only that attracts Krishna. How we do that? We just follow the footsteps and strive for that, and everything comes through service attitude. Practical devotion. So do practical devotion, because through service attitude, the desire to serve Vaishnavas, or the desire to hear will come. Otherwise, hearing will not strong. It just goes here and comes out from here. You will not get absorbed. So that's very important, the service attitude. Service has to be there. Without any argument, without any, just follow the instructions. So these are some of the pastimes. As we go on, many pastimes will come, so you will hear that. I just don't want to go those pastimes, but the important thing that Krishna is teaching us, you come out of this karma and jnana mishrit bhakti and just try to perform the unalloyed devotion. That's about the anabhalashatam shunyam. That sloka just teaches us everything, the whole basis of nectar of devotion. No philosophical speculations, nothing. No fruity mentality. Just pure devotion. Strive for that. When you strive for that, because it will come ultimately when you start finding the good qualities in others. Follow the devotional service very carefully, serving devotees. And that should be the mood, not thinking the other way, finding faults, because that will drag you down. And Krishna is teaching us through these pastimes that if you want to attain me, you have to do this. Very simple. So one has to go dive deeper into the pastime, understand the meaning, visualize is that how I can apply in my life so I can progress in the path of devotion. One should not be, because that's what these pastimes he was performing with these Brajavasis. He was not showing them that I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I just came here as a little child of Yasodamai, performing these pastimes. If you look at the board, if you look at these things, Krishna is saying to these demigods and all those things, you perform so many austerities to get this power, but you will not get the opportunity that I sit in your lap. This is only possible through pure, unaltered devotion. That's what he's saying. Now Krishna in the form of boar, he covers the whole 7 planetary system. And each pore of the boar is basically the whole oceans can fit in it. And still it is empty. But with the same bucket of water, he was just splashing on Krishna. So, this we need to understand. And that's what I just shared with you this few of the pastimes. But the most important thing here is basically one realizes after going through very different processes, the same 2 devotees sitting in a class, one absorbed very easily and progresses very fast in the devotion service, one doesn't absorb that fast. And it takes years, birth after birth, maybe years after years to follow the process of devotion. So this depends on how much consciousness and how much heart one is putting in that. This is how, when sometimes the devotees comes, they progress so fast. And somebody realizes after so many years, like when you look at the story of pastimes or a story of a Chitraketu, King Chitraketu, he was hankering for a child, so he got a beautiful wife and there was no child. And he was a great devotee. Then the hankering started, his desire was just to have a child. He was devotee, but his focus was just a child. 1 wife, 2 wives, 3 wives, and thousands of wives. And what happened finally when the child appears, he was also killed. Because he was just focusing on that part, and all of his wives become his enemies of that child. Finally they gave him the poison, Harsa Sokha. So he becomes happy and then Sokha. Then he realized, after Narad Muni and Angira Muni came, then gave instruction, then he realized that, what I am doing there. So that's what the point I am just trying to explain is, one realizes pretty fast, one realizes, one takes a lot of time. One progresses, one takes instruction in his heart, just rise. Other doesn't take instruction, struggle. Because the tendency of fault finding is there that prevent him or her to absorb in these pastimes and progress. So that's the reason. And how he or she associates. The Sangha, that's what Parikshit Maharaj is saying, the Sangha is important. If you Sangha with a Paramhans, you will get absorbed, you will get elevated. If you associate, depending on wherever you associate, you listen lecture, everything, and you go home and somebody asks you, let's go to movie. So you are associating with a person who's, or do whatever things they want. Devotee syndrome, When they comes, everything nice, chant, dance, and after a few days, things fade. This is called a pure devotee syndrome. When he comes, I want to be pure, and then he get absorbed, and then finally he gave up and then just go. Okay, so I will end here. If somebody likes to share or discuss anything.
Very nice class, Prabhu, and very happy to hear. And you told so many important points. And one of the things I was just a little confused, like jnana, karma, and that you gave 5 points out of that, jnana, karma, and bhakti. So we have seen in the nectar of devotion, that means how bhakti is not, means not, what I forgot the sentence. Jnana and karma is not essential for bhakti. But whereas bhakti, from bhakti we can get jnana and everything. That sentence I forgot, very nice. 3 points there has been written. And that's what I get confused. What is that you said, jnana misrita bhakti? Sorry, that doesn't help, you mean to say.
He's going there, you still like this thing, but you're still chanting, doing services. So this is called the Mishrit Bhakti, okay? Because the material elements are mixed in your devotion, okay? So when you're doing the karma yoga that people do to elevate to different planets, okay? So the pious activities, you do yagyas, you do charities, it's karma yoga. So that's called karma kanda. Also then karma yoga, when you mix certain devotion in that, but you still engage in so much these karma activities, it's a karma process. So mishrit means you mix a little devotion and the material elements. The more material elements or things you involve, you are on the lower platform. And even the jnana yoga, people only absorbed in this acquiring knowledge and all those things. This jnanis does. But what is the ultimate goal? The ultimate goal is to become one with Krishna. But soul is always desire. You cannot capture soul and sit there at one place, so they again fall down. But when they are still doing the knowledge, they still have hankering for a lot of these babas and all those things in India, the Jnana, Mishrit Bhakti, they involve so many things. So, the Mishrit means you involve these material enjoyments. How you involve is that how your level is.
Thank you. And one more thing, that again, one more regarding Gopis' affairs with Krishna. Very nice word is there in Nectar of Devotion. Krishna is apapa viddham, or is that apapa viddham. That means he is so pure, that means it's so transcendental, his position, that anything, just like burning fire, anything you put in the fire, fire is not affected. So very nice word.
That's what Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita. That's what he is pure, pavitram. So when you attach with him, associate with him, you become purified. So that's what the gopis' love for Krishna is very pure, spiritual platform. And that's what, one should be very careful when we're reading those verses. That's what, this Parikshit Maharaj telling third type of people. They like those sweet pastimes, conjugal love pastimes. So they always read, they always, when there is Bhagavatam Katha, they go and hear that. Because there are different types of people, but Krishna is still challenging their ego in a different ways. So ultimately he is trying to pull everybody towards him. Through one process, one way, other way. One can be elevator, one can be a steps. So but that's what his mercy.
Again, one more thing. That regarding that philosophical speculation, then karmis, and jnanis, then it is stated in Nectar of Devotion also that they stuck with at Brahmajyoti.
Yes.
So, by chance, after crossing all these your 4 types of liberations, if they have affinity or they have affection for Krishna, they may come to to go Golok Vrindavan or Krishna Lok, that Rupa Goswami has mentioned. There, but above of that is, I forgot, above of that, can you tell me? Above is that I think he is telling about the pastimes.
Yeah.
I mean, that even if you reach in the Krishna Loka, there are varieties of service.
Yeah.
But out of the variety of services, this discussing pastimes or absorption, that what you told, absorption in pastimes is the highest. Then that's
Because
what he is telling.
through that, you will attain the love of Krishna. Because when you absorb those pastimes within your heart, then you are involving all your senses just to hear, chant, remember Krishna. So manthan, that's very important. When the body, mind and the word doesn't chant for Krishna, then that means, how do you know about this when you hear these pastimes? How we know Yashoda was churning butter, how she was remembering, when you hear about that. So, unless you don't do that, you'll be, again I am saying that you will be in a Mishrit Bhakti. You have to absorb that. Unless that absorption doesn't come, the progress doesn't happen. So that's what we should follow the steps of Mother Yashoda. We should always think Krishna, remember Krishna. That's the only way you can control the mind. Otherwise, very difficult. So that's required. The critical component for that is how you get the taste for hearing when you start serving the devotees of Vasudeva. That's the first step. If you don't do that, the hearing will not come. You can hear sometime, but you lose taste, again hear sometime, lose taste. But when you serve the devotees of Vasudeva, the hearing comes. But the hearing also has many steps. I have explained, I think, in one of the Bhagavad Gita classes, many steps in hearing also. How you hear, in where you hear in the association of devotees, you hear in the association of devotees, you hear in the parampara system. Then when you hear, then how you absorb it. There was a King Kulashekara, then one of his acharyas used to recite Ramayana to him. Okay, so every day he recited some of the pastimes of Lord Rama. So then he used to visualize that hearing, and then one time they were reciting that how this Ravana captured Sita, stole Sita and crossed over the ocean from here. He came here, he crossed over this ocean. So basically, he was one of the Alavars. Alavars are basically the incarnation of paraphernalias of Lord. Okay, so he was in that South India. So he suddenly stand up and asked his army, okay, let's go and bring Sita. So he was visualizing there. He went to the ocean there. Okay, let's cross this ocean and bring Sita. So he was visualizing. Then somebody told him, just stop, you cannot cross this ocean. So, but he was visualizing that. That means he was completely absorbed what the person was telling him about the past time. So once that absorption comes, so this is one of the components. When you visualize things, the absorption will be more. So that's very critical. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw Yamuna, he went to the Yamuna and falls like a dead person. Because he was relating Yamuna that where Krishna performed pastimes. And then he was sleeping, meditating like a dead. So this absorption.
But again, next point, sorry, I'm taking a very nice point you told, that in Nectar of Instruction, there is a word, I think, Sravana Dasa, that, affinity to hear. All the times on a stage will come Sravana Dasa. Then above that Dasa is, Prabhupada is explaining about, what is that called, Varana Dasa. That means you accept Krishna then, Krishna is there. Krishna is always observation. Then above is then another one is, I forgot, what is that, something, that Spruta something, Spruta Dasa something. So yeah, very nice point. Thank you.
This all depends how we take.
Hare Krishna, bro. Thank you for your class. You made a lot of wonderful points. Beginning with how you ended your class, one of the most important points, I think, in our Krishna consciousness, actually, we may not consider a profound point, but it is. And you were mentioning, you were separating that the difference between those who make quick advancement and those who don't, how much they're putting into their devotee association, hearing, Krishna consciousness, etc. So this reminds me of a quote. It says, life is like a trumpet. If you don't put anything into it, then you won't get anything out of it.
Yeah.
And in my personal life, I spent a lot of time with my, over the years, my brother's not living here now, but he's lived here in the temple for, 13 years. And I was always wondering, how does he have such a taste for Krishna Katha? He was known for that. And one thing I'm thinking of that I try to implement in my life now is that when he would give his classes, Bhagavatam classes, his great Jai Jagannath Prabhu, in case no one knows, he would be so enthusiastic. And that's natural. But when he was hearing class, he was just as enthusiastic. Usually we're the opposite. When we give class, we're enthusiastic. When we have to hear class, we're not. Yeah. And I was wondering, that's why he will always have something to say, because he showed the same amount of respect. He gave everyone the same amount of respect, as much as, he probably didn't expect it, but as much as he put into the Bhagavatam class. And that's one point I really see how much he advanced and why people are so inspired by him. So that's one point I appreciate it. But my real comment and question is related to the pastime of Putana you were mentioning.
But the point here is the absorption part. So the absorption, that's what I gave the example of Srila Prabhupada. 4 o'clock in the morning, he was reciting the Krishna book and all the devotees were sleeping. But he was not thinking that while they are sleeping, I should also. He was absorbed in that. So that's the point he was just teaching us. Unless you don't absorb, you sit in the class, but if you don't absorb, then apply. If you don't absorb and apply, then you will start difference. How one progresses, how one takes a lot of time. This is how much absorption is there. When absorption is there, then other qualities will develop. Enthusiasm, humility, service attitude, everything will come.
Thank you, Prabhu. My main comment and question is related to the Putana pastime. You were mentioning how Krishna took the essence, but the reason I appreciate this pastime is because it reminds me of one of my favorite analogies by Jai Pataka Maharaj that he mentions in Vaishnava K by Bhaktisiddhanta. Prabhupada also mentions the same analogy, actually, I found recently, in the prayers of Indra. The prayers of Indra, where he tried to kill the members of Vrindavan. This is also the same analogy. The analogy is that the Jai Pataka Maharaj mentioned. He says, just as a spider is never entangled by its web, so Krishna can never be entangled in the web of lust, anger, greed, etc. And that means he's not seduced by beauty, he's not bribed by money, nor is he impressed by high education. The only thing that seduces, impresses, or bribes Krishna is prima. Prima haite Krishna hoy nisha bhatavash. Prima haite poi Krishneta seva sukha ras. This same verse says, all the other ones, Krishna's captured by one's love, not one's position or whatever. On the flip side of the coin, this is regarding association. Everyone thought that she was good association. Regarding your point of association, when Putana went to enter the house of baby Krishna, nobody asked her for an ID. They thought this is good association. There's another side of that story, actually, another similar story where Lord Shiva wanted to see baby Krishna. He entered Vrindavan. He was thinking, maybe I should cover myself as a Brahmana. But as soon as he stepped in Gokul, he was like, maybe I should trap people for the right reason. So then he just went in his regular form. And when he approached to Mother Jasoda to see baby Krishna, Mother Jasoda was like, can I see some ID? Who are you? You didn't ask Putana for ID? Yeah. And so he says, etc. He's explaining himself. He just said, I don't want anything. She was like, do you need some clothes, some food? He was like, no, I have everything. I just want to see baby Krishna. Long story short, they thought Lord Shiva was bad association, and they thought Mother Putana was good association. So in our life, we may make mistakes like that. And so my question is regarding one last point about association is that when we have many discrepancies with devotees or people out in the material world. And we see that in the life of Hiranyakashipu. When Hiranyakashipu told Prahlad, what's the best thing you've learned in school? Prahlad says to always remember Vishnu. And that was enough to take away his peace of mind. So we see that although Hiranyakashipu was physically separated from Vishnu, he wasn't mentally separated from Vishnu. So sometimes in our spiritual life, we have an ideology of who's good association and who's bad association. But even when we are separated from our ideology of bad association, as soon as we hear the name of the person we don't like, then immediately, we become just as unhappy as if we were personally associated with him. So my question is that, like Bhaktisiddhanta said, what is the use of a hospital without the hospitality? So sometimes if somebody's bad association, Narada Muni said, if somebody's bad association, then uplift the inferiors, make friendships with your equals, and take advice from the superiors. But we don't have the tendency to uplift the inferiors if we truly think we're better than them. Yeah. So what are some steps we can move forward to, like a doctor, how long can we remain in our apprenticeship? Like a doctor can't be a real doctor, he has to go to apprenticeship, so he stays away from the emergency room. But in the end, he has to go to bad association, the emergencies. So how long, what is the criterion for the period of time where we actually associate with bad associations to try to uplift them? How long of a period, how long can we say this is bad association?
So your question is that if we go out of the devotees network, how long we should associate with them? Is that? We're supposed to uplift others. If we think we're so, advanced in Christianity, we have to work. No, so for example, if you want to go to doctor, obviously we are not associating with a doctor because we are getting to cure our disease. But regarding the association, when we, as I said, that when we are the sadhakas, the middle stage, how we associate, based on that, how we develop the consciousness, okay? Because the sadhakas, they can easily move around from one place to other place. But how you want to avoid or how long you want to associate, it depends on person intelligence, that whether this association is really elevating me or giving me Krishna closer to me, or this association is moving Krishna further away from me. Then basically, then you have to use your intelligence and the other things to just stay away from them. But sometimes people ask, how about the parents? Parents are not devoted. Do you want to associate? Obviously, those are your parents. You don't disrespect them. So the idea is that how long you want to associate, that depends upon you, person to person. But the most important thing is that if you have friendship, you respect others. People who are not doing devotional service, that doesn't mean they are downgraded people. We should not say like this. We should respect others. But my answer is that it depends person to person. How long you want to associate, you have to think when you are taking guidance that's what the guidance is there or counseling is there. From that you will get that understanding that whether this association is good for me, whether this association is bad for me. It depends on person to person. How long it will take is also depends, how much deeply involved you in it, or you are just involving on the surface side. So it's person to person. But the most important for is that if you want to get rid of this, that's what you associate with the devotees or who's counseling you, and then at least because he has realized that, he has gone through the similar process, and then he can give you the better advice that what steps you should take so you can avoid these things. You cannot eliminate everything. You have to go to workplace. You associate with the people, you make friendship. But you can bring in Krishna sometimes in between. But you try to. Sometimes what happens, I have seen that when you behave nicely and other things, the other people start thinking that let's talk something nice with him, not talk something very bad about him. It depends on the personality to personality. And then how much time it will take depends how much you want to associate with them. So that's a person to person issues. But you always try to find some qualities. A teacher, the student always complain. If student doesn't understand, then they always complain, his teacher doesn't know anything. Something like that. But student should look at the teacher, what he's teaching us, that's important, so that can give me higher grades, higher degrees, whatever that. So it's all person to person. Whether we still have the fault-finding tendencies still in us, then that will lead to more kind of those association. You will love those association because you like to find faults. So first thing is the root problem has to go away. Then ultimately we will start realizing that, whom I should associate, whom should I know. But the important thing is that you respect everyone. That's the principle of Krishna consciousness, you respect others. So that the ability of fault finding has to go away at some point. Because if you still do that, you're doing apradhas, and what is the result of apradhas? You associate with others. And it will be indefinite if you don't fix this. Because with that fault-finding ability, your mind still is not cleansing, still polluted. So look for something more happiness, others, everywhere, somewhere else. Oh, I'm not finding happiness with this devotee because he has this problem, so let me go. So ultimately then you will think that, okay, I'm better here, At least I can share my things and we can enjoy these things. So it all depends how you put efforts in trying to find what is the root cause of that problem. Okay, I think it's 9 o'clock, so we'll end here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.